Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
You know how everything's a subscription now? Music, movies, even socks. I swear if
To continue this ad, please upgrade to Premium Plus Platinum.
What? No. Anyway, Blue Apron...
This is a pay-per-listen ad. Please confirm your billing.
Oh, that's annoying. At least with the new Blue Apron, there's no subscription needed. Get delicious meals delivered without the weekly plan.
Wait, no subscription?
Keep the flavor. Ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first two orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
This episode brought to you by the following patrons: Min, Jason, Madeline, Alyssa, Laura, Jeremy with the laser eyes, Allie, Kristen, and Tia. But because it's that special time of the month, we get to shout out our You Can Get It level sponsors, and they are Fig Roll McGee, Ghislaine, Vanessa, Heather, Kathy, Nikki, Knitting Menace, Spooky Lime Pie, Renee, Grace, Sean, Ali, Dr. Voorhees, MD, Amelia, Aaron, Irene, Naomi, Bex, Laura Lubu, Cameron, Kaylee, Jackie, Unintentionally Badass, aka Jennifer, and Isaac. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to hang out with us, do so in the Facebook group, where we'll be talking about how this movie maybe isn't the best Aliens daily.
I'm not supposed to publicly talk about us being in...
Paige, we just started recording, and your first line was, don't talk about us being in... like, stop talking.
Don't talk about it.
We just started recording.
Yeah.
So, Paige, I have a question. Is this a late-term abortion, technically?
It got delivered, so no. Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
And I'm your Horror Virgin, Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, when I say you guys, I literally mean you guys, because you guys picked this,
right?
Aliens 3 for the listener request.
Alien 3.
Oh, that's right. It's not Aliens 3. My bad. It's Alien 3.
Right.
You're actually sort of walking through why it took me so long to find this movie when I was trying to watch it.
Sure.
But yes, Alien 3 and Paige.
Alien cubed.
I know. That's the way the art looks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know for a fact the reason this one for listener request is because you have said many, many, many times this is not a favorite of yours. I know it's not a favorite of the listeners either.
No.
But they've wanted us to do it because of that.
It's mixed among the listeners.
Sure, that's fine. And I can see it. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
But like, talk to me about the first time you saw it and just the disappointment on your face when you saw Sigourney Weaver go full T2 without the thumbs up.
Yeah, without the thumbs up. I actually was going to ask if you would like to go first, because I can then break down some of just the extra movie stuff that I know and how that informs this movie a bit before we get into the movie, but after we get your first thoughts. Unless you just want me to tell you things and then have it surprise you, I guess.
Can I just tell you what I guess you're hinting at?
Sure.
Because my first thought when watching this movie was like, hang on, David Fincher did this? The guy who did Zodiac? Like The Social Network? Seven? Like, this guy knows how to make a movie. He made a bunch of great music videos before he started making great movies.
Sure.
So I was like, how can this be bad? And then I watched it and I was like, oh, this feels like people were like warring back and forth through studio notes. Because it's like,
I don't blame David Fincher for this.
I honestly don't either, although I do think this is probably one of his worst.
Yes.
And I still think it's like an all right movie. I don't have like the nostalgic love for the Aliens franchise that like a lot of people do because I didn't grow up watching it. And I do think this is by far the weakest of the three we've seen. But to me, it wasn't bad. I kind of like got it. I hated a lot of the things that happened in it, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, everyone I care about dying by the end of it.
Sure.
You know, so like there's a lot of it I didn't love. But anyway, I would say that was my first thought was like, oh, how can this be bad? And I was like, oh.
Right. And yet.
It just is.
it just is.
Yeah.
It is. And the graphics look unfinished.
Well, it was 92. Like, I thought that too. Like, the CGI doesn't look great, but it's CGI in 92. So, like, I don't think I should expect it to look like CGI did back in, like, 2014 when it was, like, good.
No, but I don't feel like it is a stretch to ask for some practical effects to mitigate that because they managed to do it fine in the other two movies.
Yeah, I mean, and there are way more men in rubber suits in the other movies, and I do think it's better that way.
Yes,
because it looks better. It doesn't look bad, yeah.
Yes.
And it just feels like this script was like, hey, let's send Snake Plissken to another prison planet this time, not a city. And they're like, wait, what if we made it Sigourney Weaver and then just made a cash grab movie called Aliens Cubed? And then some studio exec was like, yes.
I wish it was that simple. It is actually way more complicated than that. And therein lies what happened, which is why I don't blame David Fincher for this. There's a lot of cooks in this kitchen for why this movie is so bad.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man, because I really would like to have seen what Fincher's vision would be for this. If he just went back and remade it, like took another swing at it, not remade the movie he wrote or whatever was going to make now,
he didn't.
But just like took another swing at an Aliens 3, I'd be like here for it. Because he's such a good director and like producer. Like he's so good.
Sure.
Get 9 Inch Nails on the soundtrack page. It would be awesome.
That would be awesome. And I revealed this to you last night because I, for the listeners, just got back from a trip and had only like 6 hours between landing and us recording this right now to watch it and sleep. And so I was like, I am not fucking watching the assembled cut. I am watching the shorter cut because mama needs to fucking sleep.
I watched whatever cut was free on Hulu, and I assume it was the shorter cut because it was 1 hour and 56. Yeah.
Yeah. There is a longer cut. It doesn't help. I've seen it. It doesn't make it that much better. There are people who will swear up and down that they're like, that other cut fixes it. It does not.
I haven't seen it. I don't know. But yeah, I believe you, though.
It's longer, and the only thing that can make this movie worse is more of it. So here's the thing about this movie, and I'll give it some flowers before I start in on it. I understand a couple of things that they were trying and failed to do because I think subsequent Alien installments have actually done it better. I think one of the big things, and I'm going to go through, before we even like get into this movie, some of what went into making this movie bad so that we have an understanding of it as we talk through the story. I think one of the things they were trying to do was show a non-Nostromo crew part of the Weyland-Yutani universe. And I actually always like when that happens, usually. I think Romulus does it best.
Yeah, Romulus is great.
Yeah, I think that some of what they were trying to do also is, so if we look at Alien 1, we've got merchants, but like merchant marines kind of, where they've got guns, they encounter this thing, it kills them. The second one, we've ratcheted it up to 11. We've got actual space marines. They're going to come fuck this shit up. No, it wrecks their shit immediately.
Yeah.
So then the question of like, what happens when you've got fucking nothing against this thing, right? And I do think there could be an interesting version in a setting that has no weapons, where you are either trying to lock it off or trying to avoid it or trying to trap it. I think that's an interesting concept. We'll go through the various script adaptations because there's 2 of them that are basically that. I also like when it's maybe not Ripley. I don't think that Alien always has to be Ripley. And this is the same thing I think about slashers and stuff sometimes, where being tied to that character sometimes robs you of story opportunities in the world. that could be equally good. It's why I think Romulus is so fucking good.
It's why I think Rogue One is the best Star Wars, because it doesn't really have a Jedi in it, and it's just like a human story in the universe.
Yes.
Like, I would love a buddy cop comedy in the Star Wars universe for two, like, non-Force users just trying to, like, be detectives on Tatooine or some shit. Like, that would be funny.
Not opposed.
Yeah.
Not opposed. Again, that is why I like Romulus so much.
Yeah.
Watching this today, I've seen this movie multiple times, but this is the first time watching it since watching Romulus. And I was kind of struck by a handful of things that Romulus does great that this movie is attempting and just not delivering on, right?
Right.
And so some of that comparison, I think, stands. I just think that Romulus is the better movie of the two.
Yeah.
A frustrating thing that I will bring up is the mishandling of the general metaphor of the Alien series dealing with the loss of bodily autonomy, which is fucking huge in the first two movies. Of like, this is a monster that violates your very bodily autonomy. And that is explored in multiple ways in the first and second movie. It's a very clear metaphor. It's a very clear viewpoint. Everyone involved in making the first two has talked about it and expressed their feelings on it. This movie mishandles it so bad. And here's the thing. They had an opportunity to continue that metaphor in an interesting way because they're dealing with a prison colony full of people who have only, violated bodily autonomy. And if you want to make some sort of like revenge narrative of like people who have assaulted people are now about to be assaulted by a thing they can't prevent. Okay. But instead, the movie just makes Ripley the victim again. It literally victimizes Ripley. There is an attempted gang rape in the movie. It's so fucking offensive. I'm just like...
It's so troubling, but the scariest part of that to me is when the guy who's about to, like...
sexually assault Ripley?
Yeah.
Yes.
He pulls his goggles down over his eyes first.
What does he need the goggles for?
You don't need goggles.
No. And then the movie has the nerve to make a room full of people who are admitted people who have sexually assaulted people who've murdered people who have sexually assaulted children, and they have admitted to it. It makes them the fucking heroes? Motherfuck, this movie's fucking awful. I hate all of that.
I thought it was insane that they landed on the only prison in the world that had, like, They had taken a vow of celibacy. Like, the prison they land in is, like, safer for Ripley than, like, any church, according to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a vow. I mean, she does go on to get sexually assaulted, which, I mean, would signify probably not as safe as a church, depending upon the church, I guess. But, like,
well,
you know.
Considering they have a hardcore religious component to their prison.
It's nuts, right? Like, it felt like they should have, like, crash landed on a monastery planet or something like that.
Okay.
It was like a bunch of monks or whatever. It would make as much sense to me.
Hold that thought. That's the second draft. We'll cover it in just a second.
So that's what it felt like. It felt like two warring drafts between, like...
It's 4 warring drafts.
Oh my God. That's 3 too many.
Yes.
It felt like it was like someone wanted to make a religious point with this movie and someone wanted to make a body autonomy point with this movie.
Right.
And they were just fighting back and forth the whole time. Yeah.
It's not even that. It's more than that, essentially.
It's 2 more than that, apparently.
It's 2 more than that. And none of those things land.
Right.
They mishandle the religious metaphor. They really mishandle the bodily autonomy metaphor to I would say, frankly offensive degree. But that's only 2 of the at least 4 drafts that went into this movie. Let's go through them, shall we? The first one, now, a lot of this is based on, there was an oral history of Alien 3. Film Cred did it in 2022 for the 30th anniversary. And I am largely pulling information from that article. However, I will mention that article contains the sentence, "It was a financial flop that found its audience over time and is now seen by some to be the best of the franchise." No.
I'm sure there are some who would say that.
Do they have eyes?
They might not. I don't know. I haven't pulled the ones that said they liked it. It's just quotes like that are BS. Like it's... Yeah, I'm sure someone said that. Yeah. Oh, great.
People are saying someone should be asking these questions.
Exactly.
Anyway, okay. So the first version, or when they first started thinking about this, was literally 1986. The second Aliens comes out and fucking prints money, they start considering a sequel, and they go to the producers of Aliens, David Giler and Walter Hill, And they had actually worked on both Alien, the original, and Aliens, the sequel. And they planned a 2-film sequel arc that would have the survivors from Aliens, so Bishop, Ripley, Hicks, and Newt.
Oh, you mean everyone they just murder right out the gate?
Well, we'll get to that because that doesn't happen until draft. Well, it happens in a couple drafts, but we'll get to that in just a sec. But they would return to fight genetically modified xenomorphs, which essentially becomes part of the storyline for Alien Earth if you're watching Alien Earth now. They had a story idea, and the studio begrudgingly gave them a budget, but they didn't want to give them as much money as they'd given them for Aliens, which is just fucking stupid because that's what a movie like that takes.
Yeah.
If you remember from Aliens, James Cameron financed part of Aliens himself, knowing it would be a blockbuster, and got fucking rich off of it, so good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
But they needed somebody to write the screenplay where they were like, we've got a story idea, but we need a writer to actually like break it down, write it out. So they hired cyberpunk author William Gibson, and he decides to kind of take a left turn with it, and he turned it into a Cold War metaphor filled with body horror. So it focused on the survivors. They live, right? Mainly Corporal Hicks, aka Michael Biehn, is kind of the main character, at least for the first movie after, because it is like a 2 arc.
Yeah.
They like land on a space station. They're taken by a rival to Weyland-Yutani, who is also trying to develop the xenomorph into a bioweapon. So it's like a nuclear arms race with aliens.
Love it.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
That is a wild ride of a script that has been turned into a comic book. It's been published as a script. It's like as a novelization. And this is the one that has an audio drama available where Michael Biehn voices Hicks.
Nice.
Like an actual audio drama version.
Nice, yeah.
Very cool. Highly recommend listening to it. This, for a lot of people, is the accepted alternate Alien 3 storyline. I really like this one.
Yeah, it sounds great. I wish they had made that.
Yeah, I think there's value to it, right? Now, the second one, because they bring somebody else in, they scrap this story. The studio doesn't like it because it's going to be expensive. Essentially, the studio being cheap is a huge reason of why this movie is bad.
Yeah, okay.
So they hire a new screenwriter, and the studios basically are like, we want a whole different thing. We want, like, you have to do this in 2 months, which is not enough time to write a screenplay.
No, it is not.
But they were like, you've got William Gibson's draft, because here's the thing. If you get hired by a studio to write a script, you write for the amount of time, and then whenever you leave or whenever they fire you, they keep everything you wrote,
Yeah.
and they can do whatever they want with it. It's kind of brutal, but it is the nature of the business. So they give him the original draft. He tries to rewrite it, where it's a space station with genetic experimentation is occurring without. Essentially, it's the building blocks for kind of what Romulus is.
Yeah.
It's not bad necessarily. However, he had created the space station to be like a farming agriculture space station, almost like Fallout. So there's like farms and agriculture and stuff. And they were like, what is this? And he was the first one to introduce the idea that everyone on the escape pod dies before the film even starts.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay.
The only items remaining to let the audience know who the victims were basically like the names on their pods. Like they're just dead.
I mean, that's pretty much what we get with the everyone except for Sigourney Weaver.
Sure. That comes up a little bit later, why Sigourney gets to live.
Well, because she executive produced it.
Well, we'll get to that. So this one was military again, but military on a agricultural space station that didn't really have a ton of weapons.
Yeah.
And the studio was like, what? No. So then they hired someone else, David, and I believe this is pronounced Toohey, David Toohey, who was known for Critters 2, The Main Course, and Warlock. Not the best resume. Not a terrible one.
I mean, I don't have any credits like that to my name.
Different vibe than the Alien movies.
Very.
Right? So again, he starts with William Gibson's script and basically was like, what if we did this without the Cold War parallels? And I'm like, but that's the whole thing. So he then combined that with kind of a outline from John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13.
Okay.
Where prisoners on a prison planet have to team up with, air quotes, good guys to survive against xenomorphs. Now, again, in this version, and he also is the one that would go on to be pretty successful with the same idea with Pitch Black, with Vin Diesel. But in this version, again, everyone dies. So Ripley's not in it. And it was basically just another story somewhere else in the alien world on a prison planet, which again, I don't hate, because a prison, especially a prison planet, that's a place where you don't have a ton of weapons and you can kind of only lock people off.
Yeah.
Right? Not a bad idea. But what the studio said was like, no, we have to have Sigourney Weaver. So he starts reworking it to be like, how does Ripley even get there? But before he even can turn in the draft, the studio has hired another screenwriter.
Good God. Come on, guys.
Yes.
Give him 10 minutes to figure it out.
Right.
Like-
No. And this screenwriter writes a story where Ripley crash lands on a planet of monks.
Yeah.
And is the sole survivor of the previous events. And now in that one, the monks' planet is almost all wood. So it's like there's no weapons. There's no modern conveniences. It is literally wood over metal and various set pieces of a monastery, essentially trying to walk it between like people who have chosen peace have to be capable of violence to survive. Like
it's the Ewoks fighting the Empire in Star Wars,
100%.
just, people, not Ewoks, but yeah.
Right.
Like monks. Yeah.
Now, this whole process had taken so long that they had run out of time and they had to like budgetarily finish a movie.
So they were just like, fuck it, shoot them all. Shoot all of these scripts.
Yes. So they hired David Fincher, who again had never made a movie before, had only made music videos. This is the movie that almost destroys his career, and then Seven saves it.
Thank God for Seven.
But they hire him because he can work fast. And because he had never done a feature before, they were like, we can control him.
Yeah.
That's what they thought they would do. There was no finished script when production started.
What?
They were just filming whatever.
That's insane.
Right. But David Fincher is David Fincher. And so he's like, with all this mess, I have a vision. I'm going to try and figure this out. But in the process, they bring back the producers from the first draft and another scriptwriter who had done The Hunt for Red October and Highlander. And they wrote another script while David Fincher was making the movie.
Good God.
And they just included things from all four drafts. And then we're like, I guess, shoot it. And so David Fincher tried to shoot it as much as he could and tried to make it good. But he and the studio fought the entire time.
Yeah, because there are 4 drafts. Like, what are we doing, guys?
What are we doing? And the studio hated all the drafts and hated the new draft. And so they were constantly trying to get him to change it, but they wanted him to stay on a like crazy schedule. So they start filming in Pinewood Studios at 1991, and it's going way over budget. They're having a bad time because duh. So they move production to Los Angeles in 1992 to save money because they have spent 2 years basically on and off filming and working on this movie.
Jesus, that's crazy.
So, and that's 2 years with David Fincher. So that's another 4 or 5 years before.
Yeah, writing all those scripts and like, yeah.
Yes. During the editing phase, David Fincher walked off the project and disowned the final cut of the film.
Jesus.
That is why there is an assembly/director's cut, which again doesn't help much because of what you have to cut from.
Yeah.
Right? But it was released, and we'll cover the rest in fun facts. But that's how we get this bonkers, horribly paced story that makes no sense, things that don't understand the previous films.
I just want to know which draft included the big bad getting killed by taking a shower. What was their backup plan? Let's take him to the Mac counter at Fury 161?
That's the one in the prison, because the prison draft, they were iron ore manufacturers at the prison.
Right.
So that comes from that draft. It's wild how many things you can point at as like, where does this bad part of this movie come from? And you're like, draft 3, like over here, which is very interesting to me.
I mean, yeah, you can probably chase it through like that, but maybe we should chase it through as we run through scene by scene.
Let's go. We open with extremely long credits.
Yeah.
Cut with some scenes from their transition, basically from the ship to where they are going to crash land. During this time, we find out that their stasis was interrupted and there was a fire in the compartment. We see glass shattering. We do see like a little bit of a chest burster, which I know that the movie hasn't officially started yet, but I need to address this.
Okay.
It is established in movie 1, movie 2, and subsequent movies that once a chest burster has essentially impregnated its host, it falls off and dies. So at this point in the credits, we know that impregnation, we know that's already happened, but it's still just like walking around and is going to be the catalyst for the xenomorph that we eventually see in this movie. There's only one face hugger that we see, 2 people get pregnant. So already we off to a bad start.
Yeah. What is a queen?
With them not understanding the gestation cycle of the xenomorph.
Well, yeah, but I don't know what it is. So, like, yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, here's the thing. We do know because we saw 2 other movies about it.
Yeah, but you're asking me to remember the other movies.
I mean, I'm just asking the screenwriters to be consistent in their lore.
I did want to know how that alien queen got inside her, but they never address it.
Oh, we'll talk about it. They are bad at addressing it, and they don't understand how the aliens work, even though there was 2 movies to explain it to them. They just get it wrong, and no one noticed or didn't care.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so the pod crash lands, and we do get a little chyron for where it's crash land. Fiorina, or Fury 161, an Outer Vale mineral ore refinery, double Y chromosome work correctional facility. That means, and they don't go over this in the movie, but that all the prisoners there they call them double Y chromosome. They don't explain why. It's implied that Weyland-Yutani did genetic testing or genetic modification of some humans so that they had, I would assume, extra testosterone and a number of other things by doubling their Y chromosome.
Kind of like trying to create a super soldier kind of thing.
Which honestly would have been cool if we got more info, but we never do.
Nah, we didn't see any of that.
We never do.
No.
They just say double Y and you don't really know why. Now, it crashes into a sea. This planet is interesting because outside gets to like super freezing. So like night, but night lasts multiple air quotes days. It's like a whole thing.
It's like they operate on Earth hour system.
Yes.
But there's no reason for them to do that. Like they are on a planet that has its own day.
Yeah.
But like whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. Now, in the crash, we see that Bishop is toast. Now, he did get ripped in half by the alien queen at the end of the last movie. So, like, we had low hopes for him. Hicks is dead. A piece of the ship as they crash landed crashed through his pod and he has been killed.
They Iron Eagle Hicks, guys. It's Iron Eagle 2 for Hicks. He's dead the first 2 seconds.
Hate it so much.
I know.
Hicks is one of the best characters.
It's fine, though, because Sigourney Weaver also dies at the end of this movie. So, like...
this is controversial opinion. I would be less mad if she died in this crash than I would be with the way that she dies at the end of this movie.
Okay, yeah.
Because here's the thing. A lot of people like this movie because it's got a nihilist ending. Personally, I'm not a fan of nihilist endings, but I am a fan of looking at other parts of the world. And sometimes to do that, you need to get rid of the main character. And so I would have been fine if there was no crash landing or if the crash landing had killed all of them. And I know that's a controversial take, but I think it gives us a blank slate if it's nobody.
Fair, yeah.
I agree with some of those earlier drafts, essentially.
That's fair.
Anyway, Ripley's alive. Newt went into the pod super healthy and is allegedly drowned. Now, it seems to suggest in these scenes, as they're like searching and as we're looking around this pod, that potentially the like face hugger may have killed Newt. But we will find out later, no, she drowned in her pod while they were waiting to be rescued. And like, why Ripley didn't also makes no sense. But no, the facehugger never gets to Newt. She just dies in the pod.
Yeah, asleep. They're like, she didn't even know it was happening or whatever. But you can see her face is like open and like, but they like just straight up lied to her about that. They were like,
they lied to Ripley. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, she didn't know it was happening. And you like cut to her face. It's like, no, she knew what was happening. Yeah.
Yeah, you cut to her face and she's like mid scream and you're like, oh, well.
It's real
and then
sad.
they cut to Hicks's body and it's just a torso. It's just like neck down.
When Clemens and her are like at the back at the shuttle and he's like walking her through the deaths or whatever, it felt like that scene from Robin Hood Men in Tights when Blinken is explaining to Robin what happened to his family. You know, it was like, what happened to Hicks? Impaled during the crash. What happened to the Bishop?
Never saw it coming. Yeah.
Split in half, yeah. What happened to the dropship? Total loss.
Total loss.
What happened to Newt? Choked on the alien. I don't know. Like, it's just everyone's dead.
Everybody's dead. Now, at this point, as I'm like writing all this down, because it's not like having all this happen while credits are appearing on screen. It's cutting back and forth.
I know.
So you'll get like credits on a black screen with nothing happening and then cutting into story and then but it just makes the credits go so much longer.
And they don't need the runtime. It's not like they're stretching an 80-minute movie to a 90-minute movie. It's like a 2-hour movie already.
I do think you could make an 80-minute version of this or a 90-minute version of this, and at least it would cut faster.
It would be over faster, yeah.
But that wouldn't solve all the problems.
It would not.
No, because they run out of story mid-act 2. We'll talk about it when we get there.
But this is where we learn that, like, the prison only has 25 prisoners or whatever.
Right.
And there is one warden and, like, 2 support people, but everyone else is prisoners, right?
Yeah, one warden, one company man, and the doctor. Because the doctor was a prisoner somewhere else and then got, as part of his sentence, got assigned to this colony. We'll find that out later.
That's right. So this is before, I guess, Weyland-Yutani, like, switch their prison system to the for-profit system we have.
Right.
Because if this was in America, there would be 300 prisoners in the same amount of space, and they would be assembling Big Mac boxes or some shit.
So they kind of cover that. Because they do say, and it's a little bit later, but I don't mind talking about it now because...
Yeah, why not?
Like, there's a lot to not talk about in this movie. So they originally had 5,000 prisoners, but they had kind of like overmined the planet. And so they were going to shut down the prison because they're like, we no longer need this. We're going to transfer everybody everywhere else. But those 25 were like, we'd like to stay and continue to run and continue to mine whatever we can mine of what's left here. And Weyland-Yutani's like, well, this is basically our trash. So yeah, I guess, fine. And then they don't give them any supplies. They like send a supply ship once every 6 months and that's it. And it's not enough supplies for them to live. So they're going to die there. Like, that's kind of their plan, is to just eventually grow old and die there. And the thing that we do find out in this, like, opening scene, because, like, they take the ship in. We know Ripley's alive. And the guy, the, like, main warden basically makes an announcement of, like, there's a woman in the castle. And you're like, what? Like, why is that important?
Well, because she would have been the only woman they saw in, like, a long time. And this is before it's revealed that they've taken a vow or whatever.
Right.
But, like, we find it out in this scene. But, like, in a prison, if, like, a woman dropped into it, that would be, like, a thing. That'd be an issue to deal with, for sure.
Yeah. And this is also where they introduce that, like, they've all taken vows of celibacy or whatever, because we will find out that this is a prison colony specifically, in large part, for sexual offenders.
Yeah.
Like, that is... Ugh. And murderers. Sexual offenders and murderers.
Yeah, like the worst of the worst.
It's real bad. And they're going to be our heroes. Now, I do want to say, as a person who believes that there are people who can get better and change, and one decision shouldn't define your entire life, I will also say that does not seem to be the case with most of the people here. They just didn't have any women around to assault.
I mean, when the guy was talking about how we all took vows and everyone was like, yes, there were at least 3 dudes who had their fingers crossed for sure.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, of course. There is also a level of, like, there does not seem to be remorse in their religion as much as there is just like, I did this thing, this is who I am, and that's why I am here, away from the things that will make me do the thing. And it's like, but none of them are like, if I could go back, I would take it all back and I wouldn't want to do it. And I hurt so many people, and none of it,
at all.
Nothing, never.
But it is very much like the abstinence policy as it relates to murdering other people. They're like, I am a murderer, and you know, I have no problem with the fact that I'm a murderer, but I just isolate myself here so I don't murder other people.
So I don't murder people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no like, I'm sorry for the murders I've committed, and that's the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And here's the thing, because I feel like there are some characters within the inmates at this prison colony where that would be in line with their character to express some remorse. The doctor expresses remorse, right?
Yes.
The guy who's kind of the leader of their like religious movement.
Yeah, that's Charles Dutton. He's great.
Yes.
I love him in movies.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
So good. And there's a place for him to be like, I regret everything I've done. I feel terrible. In a way, this is self-flagellation of like me trying to punish myself for the things that I've done. That is never articulated. You can kind of infer it, I guess. But no, what he says is, I'm a murderer of women and a rapist of women.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all we get.
Full stop.
He's the hero.
And they killed Hicks, so we got this guy.
They killed Hicks for us to get these dudes.
Yeah.
They killed Hicks, the one man who listened to Ripley and had fantastic arms.
They literally killed him and replaced him with like the Lannister guy. Like that guy.
You know who she didn't get to bang? Hicks. Damn it!
Paige, I kind of low-key wondered if the reason in Game of Thrones Tyrion isn't terrible like all the other Lannisters is because he was actually half Ripley.
Ooh.
But it's then revealed what she's pregnant with, and I was like, okay, that's definitely not Tyrion.
That's definitely not Tyrion.
It does rip out of her, but no, it's not him.
No.
Mr. Monopoly here. Monopoly is back at McDonald's. Register in the McDonald's app so you're ready to get your bag. 2 ways to peel for a chance to get your bag. Physical peels with select items and digital peels with others to get your bag. Play Monopoly at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
No purchase necessary. See rules at playatmcd.com for full details and amoe.playatmcd.com to play without purchase. Ends November 23rd, but bonus play ends November 2nd. Monopoly is a registered trademark of Hasbro. Copyright McDonald's.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredeliaQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.
Anyway, we also find out that Weyland-Yutani is sending a medical evac in a week to evacuate her.
Right. Which may be the fastest they can get there. Like, it's a whole different planet,
Yes.
so.
But they do note that, like, usually they don't send people, and that's fast. Basically, like, why are they trying to get here so fast? It's, like, already kind of, what's going on, right?
We know.
We
also see them yeet Hicks and Newt into the sun. Like, they have a little funeral thing.
Well, that's later, though, because they were going to keep them for Weyland-Yutani at this point. But Ripley wakes up in the infirmary with the Lannisters, and they're like, hey, you're awake. Here's what's up. You crash landed in like the worst place. Prison colony, all sexual offenders.
Yeah.
You happen to be a lady. Oh, no.
You've heard of the concept of jackpot, right? This is like the opposite of that. I don't know what the word is, but this is the opposite of jackpot, whatever that is.
The opposite of that. Right. And now, granted, the doctor, Doc Clemens, does tell her, like, hey, this is like a Weyland-Yutani backwater, but they are coming to get you. I'm not really sure, but no one here has seen a woman in years, myself included, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And there's only 25 people. We basically are mining ore from toxic waste containers. So basically, Weyland-Yutani, like, dropped off a bunch of toxic waste. That'll come into play later. And they're, like, processing it into other stuff, or processing trash into more containers for toxic waste. Is it ever clear? No.
Well, no, it's definitely not alcohol, Paige. Why would it be? Why would it be alcohol?
Because that might make some of us happy.
But it's also not ever clear, and I understand what you meant by that. It was just funny. Yeah. But I will also say that these people, because of the job they're doing, are not going to live more than 6 months anyway, because that's very like high dangerous chemical work.
Weyland-Yutani wants them to die and left them there to die 100%.
They know secrets. Like, it's not just that they're murderers.
Right.
They know where the files are. You know, it's that kind of like, we got to kill them quick kind of thing.
Exactly. But this is where he's like giving her the Blinken rundown of like, how'd your family die?
Yeah.
Drowned in a cryo tube. Hicks beheaded. Oh, he had such a good head.
What happened to Newt? She choked on Goldie. It's just like that kind of thing. It was very funny. Although I do think that the alien that is out and like causing a problem.
There's not one out yet.
Well, yeah.
Well, there's a face hugger, but yeah.
Yeah. That one has to have just been like stowaway in the like ship, right?
Okay, so this is where things get complicated because she does ask. She's like, I've got to go see the ship. And that's where she sees the acid spit. Acid spit is only a thing for like adult aliens who have drool, or if you like cut a chest burster off, it's like their blood is acid.
Right.
But they don't have a mouth with which to spit. As you will remember, they have a very vulvic hole.
Yeah. No, I've seen it. Yeah.
Right?
Totally. I've totally seen it. I've totally seen it, Paige. I've totally seen one.
I've totally seen a vulvic hole.
I've totally seen one, Paige.
I've absolutely seen it, which begs the question. And you know what? Spoiler alert for the rest of this episode. Let's get into it because this is a huge problem.
Yeah, it is.
The film implies that Ripley was impregnated during the flight.
Right.
Which is a problem for a bunch of reasons. One, because we have seen how long it takes for a chest burster come out. And it's not long. It's pretty fast.
It's hours, maybe.
Hours, maybe.
I don't know about a queen, which is what she was impregnated with, but like a regular alien thing, it's like way quicker.
Todd, if you'll remember, xenomorphs are like bees, which means they're all queen lineage. They all have the potential to be a queen because there's one queen laying the eggs.
Yeah, sure.
And the rest are worker bees.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. They all should have the same gestation process. Now, I am willing to hear an argument that maybe it was also in stasis with her and that paused that process, but it doesn't make sense for why it would take longer after.
Yeah, because it's like a whole week that she's out.
Right?
Yeah.
It is then implied that the chest burster that escapes was the one that was, I would assume, on her face during the crash, except we see cuts from the crash of like, hey, there's a fire in the pod. That's why we're crash landing or whatever. And Ripley don't have anything on her face.
Right.
So either it has already gone. But again, as we covered, once a chest burster implants, it dies. Because it's like, then the egg is the thing.
Yes,
like
100%.
So the face hugger dies. So we should find a dead face hugger. We don't. There's a live face hugger.
Right.
Whose face was it hugging?
So this brings me to my two face hugger theory. There has to be two face huggers in that ship.
This is exactly what I was going to say. Yes.
Right? And only one attached and planted the queen.
And the other one, fled. That said, we never find that second face hugger. We only see one.
Right.
Ever. And they search and clean that entire ship and never find another one. So shrug.
Yeah, who knows? It got lost in the mixes of the different screenplays.
Lost in all the mixes of the different screenplays, along with like the gestation period and the all kinds of stuff. Now, I will, you know what? I'll save it. I'll save it for when we talk more about the dog.
All right.
Anyway, we then cut to, because she goes to tour the ship and they're like, we threw most stuff in the trash because trash.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I kind of need to see some of that stuff. He's like, another time. Meanwhile, we cut to one of the guys cleaning up some of the ducts and has some of the trash. And his dog was in and around the ship as they were processing it.
Yeah.
And his dog seems to have been attacked by something. It looks like the dog has acid spit on him. Again, from whomst? Question mark.
They wouldn't be a alien like that yet. They'd still be facehugger mode, right? Is that why you're saying that?
They'd still be facehugger mode.
Yeah.
However, the marks on the dog's face do kind of look like where the fingers of a facehugger might be.
Yeah, and it would, because of how far back a dog's jaw goes, it would really have to stretch around it to like close is it the majora or the minor? I can't remember, but like the flaps. It folds around. Yeah.
Right. Now, with that said, this is one of the first times in the Alien universe that we officially cover the idea that an alien takes on pieces from whatever species it hatches out of.
Is this the first one that does that?
Yes.
Because I was a little disappointed we don't get more of the dog. Like, I'll say that, like, that's The Thing's fault, like the movie The Thing.
Yeah.
Because it does such a good job with that.
Right.
I was kind of disappointed we didn't see it, like, kind of like running like a dog at them, you know? Like, that would have been kind of cool.
Well, and it has the backwards legs,
it does.
Kind of like a Boston Robotics dog, you know? And again, that is the thing that I would argue is stolen almost completely from The Thing, which was out,
of course,
at this point.
Yeah.
For many years.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of lifted from The Thing, and it doesn't super make sense here. But anyway, the dog is sick because it has probably been facehuggered.
It definitely has.
But we cut to Ripley's now woken up. Now it is and part of the reason I'm going to insist that Ripley was impregnated on the flight is because she wakes up with a sore throat. and complains about a sore throat the whole time. So that means she had a face hugger.
Yeah, she definitely had some throat trauma. Yeah.
She has throat trauma, right?
Yeah.
But this is when she starts asking about Newt, and she's like, we have to do an autopsy to make sure how she died because there's a contagion issue.
Yeah, it's cholera.
It's cholera.
You might get infected with cholera, which I thought was funny. He was like, cholera hasn't been around for like 200 years. Like, what are you talking about?
Anyway, at this point, I don't understand why Ripley won't tell them what has happened.
Me either.
And about the alien.
Yeah, she should be telling everyone the whole time.
She should be. And here's the thing. They might not believe her, as we cover in Aliens, or whatever. They might not believe her. That's a valid response.
Yeah.
But the idea that she's hiding it from them makes no sense at all. Why would you hide that? Why not after you wake up from crash landing be like, oh my God, this is why we are in the escape pod. This is what happened.
It's probably why we crashed.
It's probably why we crashed. Weyland-Yutani sent us there to try and contain this thing as a bioweapon, but they said the crew is expendable, which means if they're coming here, they will kill you to get to it. All of that information she has and just isn't giving it to people.
And there's no amnesia. She has it. She knows it.
She has it.
Yeah.
At minimum, she has no reason not to give it to the doctor, who she is already kind of like Clemens. They kind of already have a bit of a thing where he's like the one person who's allowed to hang out and talk with her.
Yeah, because she's supposed to be confined to the infirmary, but they then go sort of investigating what's going on.
Right.
And they kind of, I don't think fall in love, but they do bang,
Well, that happens in just a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, but they do. They develop some sort of a relationship. I don't think I don't think it was a forever kind of thing. I think it was it's been 2 days since I've had sex with Hicks and it's time to get one in. You know what I'm saying?
She never got to.
Oh, that's what it is.
At least on screen, she never got to bang Hicks.
That's what it is.
It's so upsetting.
She's been horned up since Hicks, and that was days ago. Well, I mean, it was probably 20 years ago. I don't know how the time works, but if you're asleep in stasis, you don't know that time passed, right? So it would just be waking up from sleeping.
Right. And have I read fan fiction in which they find time in the span of the time frame of aliens to have sex on the ship? Yes.
Honestly, he should have Chris Pratted her from Passengers.
No.
Been listen, Newt's asleep. I'm going to wake you up. We're going to bang it out for a few days and then we're going to go back to sleep and then that's it.
Okay. No, that's not what I thought you meant by
Well, no, in Passengers, they can't go back to sleep. In this movie, they can because they can just get back in the stasis pod and it works. Yeah. This is the ethical Passengers, my vision here. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just in favor of her having consensual sex with Hicks whenever she would get the chance to.
Of course.
Whenever that could be, I guess. Anyway, so she's like, please do an autopsy. So he does. And this takes forever because they cut everywhere that's not what they need to cut. And she's like, okay, open the lungs. Please do this or open the chest. There's no chest burster.
It felt like a biology class in 7th grade and Newt was a toad.
Right. But there's no chest burster in her.
Nope. She just drowned horrifically while they landed on this planet.
Just super drowned. But this is where she's like, we've got to cremate the bodies because they could have cholera. So they throw them into the iron forge, aka a volcano. It looks like a volcano.
Yeah.
It's not a volcano, but it looks like one.
Yeah, they burn them up.
They just used a volcano backdrop with green screen.
Yeah.
But this is where Clements, the doctor, is filling her in on who all these people are and how they're there and that they're the 25 that stayed. And it seems like the movie is very enamored of this kind of monk prisoner storyline that doesn't relate to Alien at all and is kind of just cool, right? And you're like, what?
No, not really. No. I mean, if you were just monks or just prisoners, that'd be cool.
Yes, either one.
It kind of feels like a hat on a hat, honestly.
Yes. Honestly, I'm here for the just monks version because, again, then you have a really interesting story arc of peace versus violence, right?
Yeah, I want to see 2 logs that are hung up on trees get smashed into an alien and crush it to death.
Yeah.
Like they do with the AT-AT in Star Wars. It would be awesome.
Absolutely.
It'd be way better than forcing it to take a shower like it's an unruly teenager and having it explode on me.
I would also be here for the monks having a conflicting feeling of well, it's a natural being. It's nature. Does it have a right to exist just as we do? There are so many things you can do with the monk version.
Yes.
So many. There are so many things you could do with the prisoner version.
Then it's like woman snake Pliskin running around a prison full of sexual assaulters and an alien where she truly has no one on her side and she has to figure out a way to survive. That's a cool movie.
I mean, I still don't love that it's sexual offenders.
But if it's her having to protect herself from them, like she's having to kill them too because they are unsafe.
Right. Well, having to kill them too, right? And they're being killed by a thing that sexually offends.
Yeah.
Like the duality of that is pretty interesting.
Yes.
But when we have both, and you have this, like, they're all sexual offenders. They are all a danger to her. Yeah. And that is obvious from the beginning. It is reiterated multiple times.
We haven't seen it on screen yet, but we do. Like, it's gonna happen on screen. Like, it happens in this movie.
We haven't seen it, but everyone has told her.
Right.
Everyone is vocalizing that she is not safe there.
Yeah, they're like, in accordance with whatever law it is, we have to inform you that we are, terrible people.
Right. But then also, they're trying to make them monks. Like, you can't have it both ways.
I think the reason it feels weird to me is because it wants me to treat these people who are in prison for like rapes and murders like with the reverence of that you would have for monks. And I don't. And so it's weird. It feels weird because the movie sees them differently than I see them.
Yes.
So it's disjointed for me.
It's very disjointed. I would feel better about it if the incarcerated people that we're dealing with are like, we have all chosen to live here because we are remorseful.
Yeah.
And we don't want to hurt anybody. And that's why we've chosen.
If they had said that, it would have been great.
And the movie, I think, thinks it's accomplishing that by being like, they chose to stay behind. I'm like, no, they were sentenced here and they are still sentenced. If they weren't here, they would be somewhere else in another prison. So the fact that they have chosen to be here is really immaterial.
Yeah.
Like, it has nothing to do with it, really. But the movie seems to treat that like people who have chosen to live apart for the good of other people. And that's not what it is.
We may end up cutting this, but like the movie does kind of have the Ted Cruz, can we all stop attacking pedophiles kind of vibe? And I'm not here for it. I'm not here for that.
I'm not here for that either. And here's the thing. I do believe that incarcerated people are still people. And I believe in the possibility of reform for many people who are in that situation. But I think the movie does not do a good job of demonstrating any reformation here, as opposed to just choosing to live separately, but not really because, again, they're sentenced. Like, they did not choose that part.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think the movie thinks it has communicated a level of trust and safety around these people that it absolutely does not. All it communicates is danger, but then also wants you to equate them with like a monastery.
Right.
And again, there are some people in that group that I do believe are safer than others. Even the guy who's like, I'm a rapist of women, he, I believe, is safe. He absolutely never tries to hurt her. Not. He protects her.
It's really just Goggles and his 2 friends.
It's 4 friends.
Is it 4 friends?
It's 5 total out of 25 people.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, out of a population of murderers and sexual assaulters, I'm not surprised that percentage of still people who would assault exists.
But all I'm saying is you can't paint these people with the safe monk brush while being like, at least 20% of them are actively willing to hurt her.
Yeah.
Like, it don't work. Anyway, we cut to a dog that basically just explodes into a xenomorph.
Yeah.
A fully formed xenomorph, which, by the way, not how that works.
No, it does not explode a dog like a dynamite into... It's like a xenomorph rapidly grew inside the dog, causing the dog to explode. Like, that's the kind of like shrinkable technology. Like, it's crazy.
Yes. And like, people will argue that they were like, well, it's different because it's a dog. No, because every other time we see anything or anyone get impregnated by a xenomorph, it chest bursts, and then the chest burster then rapidly grows into an adult alien. That adult alien may look different depending on who it chest bursted out of, but like, the chest burster phase is still a thing. And we know that this movie thinks it's still a thing because what? There is a chest burster later in this movie.
Yeah,
like,
we see it.
What? This movie forgets its own lore half the time. It's like, anyway, a full xenomorph explodes a dog. And it's out looking like a Bostix robotics dog designed by H.R. Giger. Just penis heading around this prison colony and squawking. This is one of the few times that the alien has like made noise.
I mean, that aren't like guttural growls or like that kind of sound. Yeah.
Right. That aren't like growls or screams.
That sounds like a vocalization. Yeah, I guess we've heard screams too. You're right.
We've heard screams of pain and screams of whatever. But this is like, this is like walking around and you're like, what?
Who are you talking to?
Who are you talking to? You're like my cat watching the squirrel outside. It's just weird. Anyway, Ripley shaves her head. Honestly, good look. But she just walks into the dining hall alone, even though multiple people have told her, hey, you need an escort to go anywhere here because you might not be safe. She's like, nah. And she goes to the dining hall and stops to talk to the guy who will kind of become the leader of the prisoners later. And she's like, thanks for saying what you said at the funeral where they did the cremation of Hicks and Newt.
Yeah.
Because he did like, hey, they join the, sky and visit. Like, it's a whole rambling thing that is funeral platitudes. But she's like, thanks for saying it.
It sounded like futurism, religion,
right.
Like things you say at a funeral. Like, it just sounded like, that kind of stuff. But like, they tried to make it sound like it was in the future.
Good for them.
Yeah.
And his reply is, I am a murderer and a rapist of women. You don't want to know me. And I'm like, honestly, I feel like you're the only person we kind of do want to know. Everyone else seems pretty sus.
Yeah. You're like really honest. You're telling me to stay away from you because you have done these violent and like terrible things, which to me signifies that you do kind of feel bad for them and like you wish you and you don't want to do them again, like that kind of thing.
I wish that had been articulated better because I do believe that is part of this character's worldview.
Me too. I mean, this guy ends up like sacrificing himself to kill the big bad alien, and so like I do think ultimately reform is possible, clearly.
Right.
Even under these sort of conditions.
Right. But he kind of outlines that like we have like a religion around our celibacy here. We wanted to stay, so we stayed. And she kind of goes back to the infirmary and asks Clements about it and is like, what is it? And he's like, neo-futurist, like extreme Christianity, basically. And I'm like, wild that they still have that in this far in the future, but fine.
Right? Like if you can see every planet and you can go to any planet, why don't you just go to Kolob and meet God, right, Paige? Everyone believes in Kolob, right? Like what are we talking about? It's a planet out there.
That's just y'all.
Don't say y'all. That ain't me. But yeah, that is very much Mormon. Yeah.
That is your past y'all.
Yeah, that's why I call it steampunk Scientology.
Sure, yes. Because you could just go mean Xenu, right? Like if there's all the planets, even for what I will call Kirkland brand Christianity, if you could visit all the planets, that doesn't necessarily invalidate what you believe, but it would probably enhance and change what you believe, right? Because if we're not the only planet then that has life on it, then that means that God is a lot more complex than you thought.
I don't think it does. I think it just means it's bigger than you thought. And that's cool.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Yeah, like
there's nothing wrong with that. It's just bigger than you expected. Cool.
Right. But within that, it's bigger than you expected. That means I feel like over time, with that knowledge, the information that people have and rely on and the way that they practice that religion would change slightly.
Of course. Well, because the way science fills in the gaps that, quote, God fills in because of our lack of understanding about how the things work around us.
Right.
Like people see that as an encroachment on religion. I don't think it is. I think it is just like chipping away at what makes God special and what makes that thing like unique. And like, because there are tons of things we can't explain. I don't know that everything's going to be explained one day. And like, it's going to live in those between spaces that makes it so special.
I think having knowledge of way more planets and way more other people that live other places and organisms that live other places would both answer some questions, but then just create a ton more questions. So that's how I think it would change, of like the focus would change.
Yes, that's always what science does.
Yeah. So the fact that they're still just like, nope, regular Christianity is bonkers. It's crazy.
But it is just like the monk storyline really is all it is.
Right. And I honestly feel like if you're going to do a monk planet storyline, why pick Christianity? You could go so many different places with it.
Honestly, the religion doesn't matter for the story. It's just the celibacy thing, which doesn't need religion, honestly.
Right.
It could just be like a fervor that they have because they're ashamed for their past, that would also work. You don't have to paint it as a God thing. thing, but they do.
They do.
And they're just lazy, so they don't do a future version of it. They're just like, 1992 is Christianity? Cool. We got this.
Keeping it, yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is also where Clemens is like, hey, tell me about the alien. She's like, screw that. When was the last time you banged it out, basically?
Yeah, she was like, hey, I know you probably couldn't tell because he was impaled, but the guy I was with in the space pod, super hot. So like I'm all horned up and ready to go. In fact, I'm kind of jealous that he got impaled. I wish he was impaling me.
Right.
But like, you'll do.
Right. He taught me how to use this gun. It was the hottest thing on film. Like, please, dear God.
And Tyrion's dad's like, well, I literally just told you that we're all celibate, but like, yeah, we can definitely bang.
Well, he said that they're all celibate because he's not a prisoner.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry. Yeah.
He just did tell her that she was the only woman he had seen in years.
Yeah.
So they bang it out. We don't see it. We just see the aftermath where they're both in matching tank tops.
You don't have post-sex matching tank tops?
I do not, but I will. This fun fact, Jake's got real wide shoulders and I got pretty big boobs. So we wear the same t-shirt size. So we sometimes can share shirts.
You're just pushing them out in different directions. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so sorry I said that.
No, you're exactly right. Anyway, they're afterglowing. And like pillow talk, like, so I asked you about that alien and then you just banged me, but I still need to know about that alien.
Yeah, like that's kind of important information, I think. Like I definitely don't know of aliens, so like I want to know more. Can you tell me more? Say more about it.
Right. And at this point, she's like, okay, then you tell me why you're not technically a prisoner. And he's like, like, I'll get to it later.
Yeah.
While that's happening, the dog has exploded. It's now a xenomorph, and it kills the dog owner guy that was cleaning that vent.
Yeah.
That means it has taken 35 minutes for our first kill that's not Hicks. Rest in peace.
Right. I bet Hicks died first and then Newt drowned.
Sure.
Because Hicks probably died instantly. His death was probably, quote, painless because he was asleep, got impaled.
Right.
She wakes up with her lungs full of water.
Right. Anyway, they come up to investigate it. And they call down to bring Clemens up there, and they're just like, I think he fell into the fan. And they're like, it's this guy, because that's his boot.
I badly wanted him to be like, yeah, that was Murphy, because that's his boot. I wasn't a fan. Just because he fell into a 9-foot fan, guys.
Yeah.
Although I do think that this is the most honorable person on the whole movie, because the second he gets face huggered, he's like, no, dog.
Yeah, no.
We're dying together.
Fan.
Yeah, he like takes it to his grave.
But also, how are you going to get face huggered? There's no more face hugger because there are no eggs.
This is also a very good question page that there is no answer to.
No answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is there still a face hugger around? That's not how they work. And spoiler, after this point, no more face hugger. So
well, because he kills it. I kind of wonder if they thought that the face hugger survived the implantation process.
Yeah.
Because like this one does implant a few people, or try to at least, right?
Yeah, which is not how it works. They fall off dead. We've seen it in 2 movies, but yeah. Anyway, meanwhile, Ripley is like, hey, I kind of need to hear the log from the ship. You guys don't have any way to play it because they don't have like any advanced technology on the prison planet. And she's like, but if I go get what used to be Bishop and try and repair him, Bishop can give me a ship's log.
Yeah.
So she goes to try and find Bishop.
I love when she picked it up. It was just like the top of his torso with one arm hanging, and she like puts it in a bag and like grabs the arm. It's very funny. It's like one of those rucksacks that you would like stick on the end of a pole. Like it has like a bandana with stuff tied in it.
It's like when Luke is carrying C-3PO and he's all in pieces.
Yes, it's that. It is exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says punny stuff like, oh, I'm completely beside myself.
Yes.
Love C-3PO.
But as she's trying to walk it back, she is surrounded on all sides by somewhere between 3 to 5 of the prisoners.
A lot of them.
And they very quickly grab her, subdue her. They are about to assault her when that one prisoner monk shows up and basically beats them off of her with a stick.
I think he might kill one of them. Like he hits him a few times with, it looks kind of like a wrench. Like,
yeah.
But he saves her. He saves her from that.
He saves her and he's like, my apologies. I just have to re-educate some of my brothers.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but like.
I mean, it's better than him not doing that, I suppose.
Oh, 100%. And this is why you trust him later.
Right.
But the movie also wants you to trust everyone else.
Yeah.
And you're like, no. But she takes Bishop back. Meanwhile, and this next part is not fucking explained. Because essentially, there's a group of men wandering through like the mining shafts below the prison. Now, it's implied that it's like a labyrinthian maze and they don't know where things are, and that they have to like light candles to know where they've been and how they'll get back, which is so stupid because candles could blow out at any time.
It's very Monk, though.
It's very Monk. But why don't they know the tunnels? They've lived there for years. Why are they exploring? What are they exploring for? What are they trying to find? Why is this even happening?
Paige, it's not like they're there to do a job that would send them into tunnels that they would then need to clean. Like, of course they would know these tunnels. Like, it was crazy to me that they didn't, because they're not there just surviving. They are mining things. Like, it is an operational refinery.
Right.
And they are working it. It's nuts to me that they don't know it. It's crazy.
It's crazy. But this gives the now fully formed dog xenomorph a chance to just like snatch people and blow out candles to kill a couple guys, leaving one guy who I guess was a murderer before coming to the prison. And so he's like, somebody jumped out and killed them. It was a monster. It was a dragon. And they're like, we think it might have been you. And he was like, no, I promise. It was a monster or a dragon.
And they're like, he's gone mad. We got to put him in a straitjacket, which they do.
They do. Meanwhile, Ripley gets Bishop working and he is like, yeah, there was a fire. And she's like, okay, well, was there an alien on board? And he just goes, yes. He doesn't, there's no like additional bio whatever on, but nothing. He's just like, yes.
He's not even like affirmative.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, duh. Will you please kill me? I'm in so much pain.
Yes, kill me. I'm in pain. But let's talk about this.
Okay.
So I assume he means the face hugger.
You would have to assume that because that's the only alien we see in the spaceship or whatever.
Right. Except that it would have had to have been on Ripley's face in her pod the whole time.
It would have had to have been in her pod, and then they would have had to have opened her pod. Everyone would have had to have then exited the spaceship. The space hugger could have then got out and hidden, and then they come in and rescue her, and then it leaves.
Yeah.
There's no way it makes sense, Paige. I agree with you. It's truly nuts.
I do think her pod cracks on the crash, and so it crawls out.
Okay.
That I'll give it that.
Okay.
But then why is there acid spit on the outside of the pod for it to get in? And also, if it opened her pod to get in, then that means that like she would have probably come out of stasis.
I would assume so. Yeah, if your space pod cracks, you probably wake up, right?
Yeah, none of this is thought through. It's just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Right.
Anyway, she puts Bishop out of his misery.
Yeah.
And literally no sooner has she done that they bring the other guy into the med bay and essentially is like, he may have killed those guys, but he says it's a dragon. And she's like, oh, I believe him because...
Yeah, I know what this is. It's not a dragon. It's an alien. We're all fucked. Yeah.
We're all fucked. And if she had just told people before, like, if she had just told people when she woke up and crash landed, it was like, yo, this is what's up. Bad shit's gonna happen. We gotta start watching out for shit. What weapons do you have? And they're like, none. They have no weapons. There's literally nothing we can do.
Yeah.
And they don't believe her. They're like, you're confined to the infirmary. And the warden goes, he's like, all right, I'm here to address some rumors. Everybody says there's a fucking alien, but there's not.
I love this because the warden rubber ball is like very much like, it's not an alien, it's not anything. And he's like talking to them and like more or less like, it looks like the cafeteria space, right?
Yes, but they like start that.
Yeah.
And while it's kind of happening, this is where she and Clemens are talking. And Clemens is like, I was addicted to morphine and I had worked a 36-hour shift in the ER, which, by the way, this story is basically present day ER rules.
Yeah.
And like sounds like something that happened present day, but it's supposed to be in the future. So the idea that it's still, that the ER still functions the same way hundreds of years in the future is fucking nuts.
There's a shot where they give her an injection and you see like the syringe and it says Swiss or like made in Sweden or something like that. And you're just like, do you think they still make those there? Like, I don't think that's probably not where they would make. Okay, you just bought that and used it. Okay, fine. That's fine.
Here's what I will say. I'd have to go back and watch the first two movies. I don't even think there's syringes. Like, we only occasionally use syringes now because we have the like transdermal things for a lot of medications.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean we're still using syringes? And old-timey reusable syringes. Like, I know that this prison colony is not well stocked.
Right.
And like, that's a whole thing. And again, this is made in the 80s. So their idea of not well stocked would probably be that. But like, it's crazy that this is the full-on future. And he's like, so I was working a triple in the ER. And I went out on break and got drunk. And then I got called back because 30 people all got into some accident. And I accidentally prescribed the wrong painkiller and it killed somebody. And that's why they put me in prison. And essentially they assigned me here to be a doctor here. And I feel like the punishment fit the crime. I am remorseful for what I did. And so that's why I stayed with them, even though after they closed the colony, I was technically free to go. But like, I stayed here. Now, as that's happening, we see xenomorph hands. Because there's some guy in a rubber suit, but it looks bad compared to the last one. But here's my favorite part. Because they're in a med bay.
Yeah.
It is not very big. There's a sheet down the middle of the room. The xenomorph appears out of question mark.
Behind the sheet.
Behind the sheet in the middle of the room. Now, the other prisoner like sees it. And he's like, huh. But it's like it showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then through the sheet, it tiny mouth punches Clemens through the skull and then doesn't kill Ripley. Now, we will figure out why it doesn't kill Ripley later.
Yeah. The second she figures it out, though,
yes,
I was livid. She didn't just grab the axe and walk up to it and beat it to death.
Right, because it won't kill her, right? Like, yes, there's no reason why she doesn't hand-to-hand combat this shit at a certain point because it won't kill her, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, while that's all happening, the xenomorph essentially teleports to the like cafeteria room where the warden is like, you may have heard some rumors that there's a giant bloodthirsty alien here. That's not true. And then literally, just like Deep Blue Sea, no sooner has he uttered the words that the alien snatches him up into the ceiling.
He gets yoinked. It's so funny. And he's basically describing the worst plan that you all know is never going to work because this is like an alien movie. He's very much like, I know you guys think that there's an alien picking us off one by one, but there's not. But we got to go figure out what it is. So let's break off one by one and search for it or whatever. It's like the dumbest plan ever. So they're not going to do it. So he just gets yoinks into the ceiling and we never see him again. But his rubber ball does fall down and drop. And that made me laugh.
That was very funny. But literally they he gets snatched into the ceiling and everyone just goes, what do we do now? Which is such a funny reaction to me of just like, so who's in charge? We didn't really think this monk thing through all that much. Like, I don't, you know. And Ripley comes in and is like, that's the alien. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Also, I've had a sore throat this whole time. Suspiciously.
The guys start high-fiving the doctor.
Well, he's dead, but, you know. Yes.
I know, Paige. But there's one moment in this scene where they're like deciding who's going to be in charge or whatever, where one of the like inmates gets aggressively in Ripley's face. And I love the way it's shot and the way she's performing in this scene because it looks kind of like an elephant would look at a barking dog. Like she knows he's there, but she is just like utterly unconcerned with his presence. And I love that shot. It makes him look so small and her so tall in his presence. It's like a great way to do that shot. I loved it.
It is. And the line that he has is just like, hey, Lieutenant, how about some leadership here? And she just rolls her eyes.
Yeah.
Because I think she's just like, whatever. And also we've established that she's not feeling great, morning sickness and whatnot.
Right. It's definitely morning sickness, which does it follow the same sort of like symptoms of like a regular pregnancy when you have a queen baby inside you?
Maybe.
I don't know.
But it's now been at least like 2 days.
Yeah.
That she's had the queen baby inside.
Maybe they take a little bit longer to cook, Paige. I don't know.
We do know. Because again, they're all queen babies. There is no difference.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, but this movie doesn't.
This movie has no idea. She and the other inmates find a map. And she's like, or actually it's her and like the company man that they call 85 because they found out that that's what his IQ is. And though IQs be a problematic metric for measuring any sort of actual intelligence and they are not really accurate, It is interesting to note that a lot of times people consider 100, and at the time that this movie was made, their understanding was that 100 was average. Now, I would argue, much like religion and other things would change in the future, I don't think we'd still be using the IQ test. We already don't super use it. So, like...
That would be like them saying, hey, what's your Myers-Briggs 500 years in the future?
Right. Anyway, but that company man is basically helping her and is like, okay, here's where, these tunnels are. And she's like, okay, it would probably make a nest here. It's going to stay close to us because it wants to kill all of us. Now, the movie does not explain to anyone why it wants to kill anyone. It also doesn't demonstrate, we know from Aliens that part of the reason it's hunting and killing humans, it doesn't eat us. It uses us as essentially a cocoon.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're the host on some level for a short time while it changes into a alien from a facehugger.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unclear what, if anything, a xenomorph does eat. We've never really seen them eat. That's not a thing. But the reason it's getting humans is killing them. So what's missing from this is a scene of people squished to the wall, dying as it's, trying to impregnate.
We never see that. We don't get any of that.
We don't get any of that. We don't get any laid eggs. We don't get anything.
Which is why we're only fighting one at a time, because there's no more.
Right.
This alien is not smart enough to realize it can make others with the people it's killing.
Right. And again, that is a thing in the first movie. But if you remember, the first movie takes place over 24 hours.
Yeah, it's quick.
So it's very quick as opposed to the week that this movie takes place over, or the 48 hours that Aliens takes place over,
Yeah.
Anyway, so they discover that they have a whole bunch of this toxic waste and fuses because it is flammable. And if they spread it through the vents, they can kind of push the alien to a certain point, trap it, and then just wait for Weyland-Yutani to show up. Even though she's like, hey, they're not going to kill it, by the way.
Right.
They might kill all of us, but at least then that won't kill us.
Right.
So...
Yeah, that's their only real chance of potential survival.
Right. Now, we do also find out that the accelerant that they're using to start this fire and the fuses is, if it drops, impact-based. So it could explode at any time.
Paige, I really thought it was funny that they pull out these fuses out of boxes that say, do not jostle, and then one, puts it in his mouth and starts to climb up the ladder to wherever he's going, and he drops it, and he has to go back and pick it up, and he, grabs it and goes back up to the same spot he gets it before, and now there's an alien there, which that did scare me a little bit, but I saw it coming.
Sure.
But he drops it again because he's getting killed, and then it, this time it goes off. So it, fell from the same distance. I don't know. What is the rule on the jostle? At what level is it jostled too much?
I also thought it was hilarious that it ignites the, puddle on the floor, but then also somehow blows all the vents. It's how?
They must have been pouring the accelerant up there too, and it just caught on fire because of the explosions below. But
right.
We didn't see them pouring the accelerant in the vents. None of that happened.
Well, we saw them spreading it, but the fire from the vent below would have had to have reached the vent and then lit the vent.
Yes.
But they all explode at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the do not jostle, it reminded me of in Terminator where Kyle Reese is making pipe bombs.
And they just throw them across the room. Yeah, what are we doing, guys?
Anyway, this kills half of the people there.
Yeah, but not the alien.
Not the alien, just half the people. And we revealed that they can't go outside because it's still freezing outside.
Yeah.
At this point, Ripley's like, I'm really not feeling good. Morning sickness is terrible. Can we go get an ultrasound and see what's going on? And the only place they have to do that is the destroyed ship in her pod. So they basically go to her, the pod in her stasis pod and do an ultrasound. And that's where they find that she has a chest burster inside.
Yeah. And she's like, it's a queen.
It's a queen.
Which
they're all queens.
I know. Come on.
Or rather, they're all descendants of the queen. And again, it's like bees where one of them will be the new queen eventually and the other queen dies. And it's a whole thing. And then they'll feed it the jelly.
Right.
You get it. You know bees.
Yeah.
Anyway, she basically is she leaves a captain's log. And at this point, she's tell Weyland-Yutani we're all dead, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, why would I do that? Then they won't come. I want to get ready. I know you're about to die, but I want to get rescued. And she's
like, I have a wife and kids. Like, I got to get home.
Yeah.
I'm just a guard, more or less.
Yeah, I've got this picture of a gal that I'm getting back to after the war.
You may as well cough blood into a handkerchief. You're right. Yeah.
But she's like, hey, dumbass. They're not gonna rescue you.
No.
They're literally gonna kill you all for knowing about it and take what they can take. I've been trying to tell you this, but like, you're not listening. Like, it's a problem. But this is where she then tries to go find it, to be like, kill me, I'm here.
I wanted that because we
here.
know at this point that she is not invulnerable to it, but it will not attack her.
Right.
So if she was just walking around yelling for it to come out while holding the axe, like that would be cool. We would get some cool shots. Like that would have been great.
Yeah, the only problem is that at that point we would only be an hour into the film.
Right.
And then there would not be enough to finish the movie because there's not enough story to fill a whole movie.
No, because not much happens after this. A lot of action happens after this, but not much story happens after this.
Right. But this is where she finds out it won't hurt her, which again, she should then just go after it and attack it.
Yeah, I mean, she knew it wouldn't hurt her when it killed the doctor.
Right.
And it didn't attack her, but now she knows why it won't kill her.
Right.
Yeah, but this is the moment she should chase after it until it either goes outside and dies from the cold or she kills it with the axe.
Right. Something.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if it's not going to attack her, it would be great to see her just ripping this thing apart with her hands.
Right. Just something. Anything.
Yeah.
But instead, she goes to the like main monk guy and she's like, I have been impregnated by the alien. It will kill me. This thing needs to not survive. I need you to kill me. And I'm like, no, that's a horrible plan. Because there's still one walking around.
Well, and that's what he says. He's like, I'm happy to kill you, ma'am, but we got to kill that thing first. And then I'm happy to kill you in a very painless way.
Yeah.
But we got to kill that thing first because it's like a moot point to kill you now.
Right. And he's like, it killed all my men. And she's like, oh, it's going to kill all of your men. But at least then it probably stays on the planet and kills the Weyland-Yutani crew and probably doesn't make it off the planet, right?
Hopefully not. Yeah.
Hopefully not. And he's like, no, stay and help us fight it. So they come up with the plan, which again, I don't understand why they don't know the tunnels. They all work there. But it's essentially for them to like have it chase them through tunnels and lock off entrances to force it into this one tunnel that they can then pour molten iron ore onto.
Yeah.
And that's their goal. Now, the plan seems to go okay for a while.
Yeah, it starts okay. They're like corralling it fine, you know?
Right.
And then eventually we see, you know, the apothecary from Romeo plus Juliet, and you're like, oh, there's a reason they hired that guy, and it's because he's the one that kind of messes it up a little bit and dies because of it.
Yeah, and it's in part because it's actually two guys, because the guy before him didn't run fast enough.
Yeah.
And so that guy got, which means that they didn't lock off that one, and then he gets the other guy, which means now they haven't locked off two, so now it's kind of loose. And if they activate the piston, they only have like 5 minutes or something. They've put a ticking time clock on this.
Yeah.
But like, we don't really know why. It's not well explained. The stakes are not illustrated well. And so you don't really know what's happening. But they do finally corral it, and she knows it won't hurt her. So she's trying to like climb out and trap it, and is like, hey, monk guy, come up with me. And he's like, no, because it won't hurt you. It will try to hurt me. And as long as it's hurting and killing me, it's trapped here.
Yeah. And this is where like the iron ore drops.
Right.
So like this is where it needs to be. So I have to die in this moment. And I do love that it like runs at him. It starts to kill him. And he's just like, is that all you got? Is that as hard as you can bite? And he's like, drop it. What are you doing? And they eventually do, but he dies before they drop it. But it works. Like his sacrifice works.
It does, but I do think it's crazy that as Ripley's climbing, she's like, no. And she's like, you were supposed to kill me. And he's like, God will kill you.
Yeah.
And so don't worry about it. But I also think it's wild that for the 3 people that the xenomorph kills in this like sequence, which right after this, we have to talk about how it looks, but it bites them on the neck like a vampire.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I think it's just biting at them. Like, I think it's just trying to kill them. Although, because it can punch through a head really quickly with its inner mouth, like, I don't understand why it doesn't just do that and move on. But because it really makes a meal of this guy,
yeah,
it does get the iron ore dumped on it.
But 3 people in a row, it literally leans over and bites on the neck, like almost vampire sexy style. Just like,
I think you're adding the sexy to it. I think you're adding the sexy part to it.
Thank you.
But I also think, like, yeah, it knows how to kill people. That would kill you.
No. But that means, because that's how we find out that the other guy is like fucked up, is that he runs in with his hand over his neck, like, so we're like, oh, he's still alive, which is not a thing in aliens usually just like, you dead. Like, if you get caught near it, you fucking dead, basically.
Yeah, this guy like survived for a little bit.
And then he goes to bite the other guy, and that guy he's like going in on his neck, and I'm like, they don't suck blood. Like, what are we doing?
Maybe he really wanted to make our Dracula in space movie, and so this is an homage to it. Yeah.
But we have to talk about, in the shots where they're all running and trying to lock it off, it's crawling up the walls and on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's so badly done, it's unwatchable.
The CGI, you mean?
It hurts your eyes.
Yeah, it's not great. It is 92.
It is 92. And it's one of those things where you're like, oh, maybe if they like no. Like, even if you redid the CGI or redid it so this didn't look as bad, the rest of the movie exists. So, like, why? Like, what? Anyway, they dump all the iron ore on the alien, and it still jumps up. Now, here's what I think the shower explosion is.
Oh, it's the rapid cooling process that causes things to buckle. Yeah, like, I get it. It's just really funny to make it seem like it's just like an angsty teenager, like, blew up because it was forced to shower.
Yes.
But that's what happens. Like, because it's so like hot.
Yes.
When it gets cold water on it, it's just like, I think it either rapidly expands or, whatever. And so it explodes. Yeah.
It explodes. Now, while this is happening, the Weyland-Yutani rescue team has arrived, because they told the townie guy, or the company guy, they're like...
The townie.
This is town.
Yeah.
The company guy, they're like, hey, if she's pregnant with it, we're going to be there in like 2 hours. Like, and he was like, how are they going to get here so fast? She's like, oh, they're going to get here.
They're going to go plaid, guys. That's what they're going to do. They're going to go real fast.
Yes. But at this point, it has exploded. They come and they bring what looks like Bishop with them, but he's like, I'm the guy who designed Bishop, which would get retconned and changed in further prequel stories.
But it's not really Bishop, right? Like, it's just another clanker.
No, this is a person.
Yeah, but he gets hit in the head with the wrench and he's fine. And he also has like his ear hanging off. Like, I don't think it's a real person. Also, that guy would be dead, right? Because Bishop was sent in the initial Weyland-Yutani mission. And so like that is like 100 years ago at this point.
David was sent in the original Bishop-Yutani mission.
Okay.
Bishop is newer. So the question is, how long is this before the Sulaco?
Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah.
Right? So I'll, give them that. It could be a real guy. It could also be a clanker. Nobody fucking knows. The movie is unclear. He says he's a real guy, and I would absolutely buy that because he seems a little less robotic than Bishop is.
Maybe, I don't know, yeah.
Or whatever. But he's like, we could take you back with us. You'd get to live, and we'd just do surgery and take it out of you. And she's like, you're going to kill it, right?
And then we'd kill it. We'd kill it for sure. We promise.
We promise. Fingers crossed. And she's like, I don't fucking believe you. And so she like climbs up into this, I guess like a platform that can move out over the molten ore with one of the prisoners that they shoot. They shoot that guy in the leg, and he's like the last prisoner standing at this point.
Well, he was standing until they shot him in the leg, but yeah.
Right. And he was also one of the ones that tried to sexually assault her earlier in the film.
Quite an arc for that guy.
Quite an arc. But he moves the platform basically over the lava, and then she does what I can only describe as like, it looks like the cover of the movie Constantine, but it's like every badass action movie where you have like a frantic sounding Catholic choir in the back, like,
yeah.
And just
altos and sopranos singing in Latin.
Yeah. Back flops into the lava.
Yeah. I honestly kind of wish that the chest burster never happened and she just like was at peace with it, and you saw her at peace with it as she went into the what is more or less lava. Like,
right.
But I understand that they got to give people that moment, and I'm sure they wanted it. So like, there it is. But I think I would have enjoyed it more if I had saw that she is like okay with this sacrifice, because it is a very big sacrifice and she is saving a lot of people here.
Yeah, I think she's okay with it no matter what, chest burster or no. I do like that when we get a chest burster, she holds it in place.
Oh, yeah.
To make sure it goes down with her.
Yeah.
Essentially. And then we get a weird slideshow of the prison and all the prison stuff, because I feel like the people who made this movie are like, isn't the prison fucking cool? And it's like, no.
And that's the movie. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you think about Alien Cubed?
Still my least favorite. Actually, no. The one after this is as bad in a different way.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's worse in some ways.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
This has been my least favorite that we've seen so far, but I also didn't hate it. Like, I think I don't have the reverence to the franchise that, like, the people who grew up with it do. And there are some cool shots and some fun beats in it, but it is not a great movie, and it's not a great Aliens movie with what we've seen, honestly, that came before and after this, right?
Right. I would say the next one is bad in a way that is easier to make fun of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This one, you're just like, this makes no sense. They did a lot of things wrong. Clearly, there were problems in production, and it's bad. And the next one is like, I'm sorry, who the fuck thought this was a good idea?
Yeah.
In so many ways. But the one thing I will give the next one is it introduces like space smugglers kind of into the mix. And that's always kind of a fun...
Yeah, who doesn't love smugglers?
Right, it's kind of like space organized crime, I guess, but it is bad.
The alien ends up being Jabba the Hutt. But Paige,
Yep.
do you have any fun facts for us?
Yes.
Well, hit us with your fun facts.
Alien Cubed,
fun facts.
Okay. At one point, David Fincher was denied permission by the film's producers to shoot a crucial scene where the alien closes in on Ripley but then leaves. And it's the one where her face is kind of to the side and it's like...
Against the wall. Yeah.
Against the wall. And he basically snuck off with Sigourney Weaver and a camera, like one camera, and shot the scene anyway. And not only does it appear in every cut of the film, but it is featured prominently in trailers, and many regard this as the movie's most iconic shot. So iconic that people forget it's from this movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's from one of the two earlier movies. It's not. It's from this one.
Yeah.
And I do think, for as much as I don't like this movie, that is an iconic shot. It does look incredible.
It's great. Yeah, I think there's like moments of Fisher genius in this movie. It's just like the studio had no idea what they were doing story-wise, it seems.
Yeah, they had no idea. And so much so that, as we kind of talked about, because we kind of front-loaded with some fun facts, we'll put some here. Two things ended up saving David Fincher from permanent, basically, career death. One, of course, being that he made Seven, and that movie is a fucking classic, and it is one of the best crime thrillers ever made.
It's one of the best 90s movies, wholesale, just like...
100%, yes.
Yeah.
But secondly, Sigourney Weaver publicly and angrily sided with him against 20th Century Fox.
Damn.
I know. Sigourney is the best.
Love that lady. Yeah, like that's awesome.
Yes. So she would tell journalists and anyone who would listen, really, that the studio made decisions that resulted in an impossible situation for David Fincher, and that he would have an excellent career if given further chances. Now, the other thing is that one of the producers, Arnold Kopelson, had seen Fox's involvement and knew that they were fucking things up. And so he was part of the process that ultimately offered David Fincher a few new projects, one that would eventually go on to be Seven in 1995, which of course reignites Fincher's career, making him one of the most respected directors today.
Guy's amazing.
Yes. He did for a long time disown the film before, I think, participating in a newer cut. But he said, quote, I had to work on it for 2 years. I got fired off of it 3 times.
Jesus.
Yeah, I had to fight for every single thing. No one hated it more than me.
I'm sure.
To this day, no one hates it more than me. Now, he wasn't involved in the final cut of the film, but his initial rough cut became the basis for what is now known as the assembly cut, which is a longer version that was released on DVD in 2003. It is the other option you can watch online if you want to. He was asked to work on it and considered it, but eventually decided against it. However, his rough cut is the basis. He allowed supervising producer Charles D. Lazurica his blessing as long as it was not called the director's cut. That's why it's called the assembly cut, not the director's cut.
That makes sense.
Yes. He has stated that he has no comments on it and has never seen it. So it's not even his favorite cut, basically.
Yeah.
Offset, Sigourney Weaver said that she had to wear a wig because her then 2-year-old daughter didn't like seeing her bald.
Oh.
$7 million of the budget was spent on sets that were never even used.
Oh my
thanks to the
God.
changing script, and they were built before filming had even started. Because of the deadline that was looming and the studio was anxious to get things back under control, they would call their 6th writer, by the way, a man named Rex Pickett, almost daily with constant demands for changes. And it got to the point that whenever David Fincher wanted to discuss Pickett's progress on the script, he would let the phone ring twice, hang up, and call again so that Pickett knew it was him and not the studio harassing him. But even throughout filming, the script was constantly being rewritten. So sometimes sets and costumes and everything would be built and made, and then they would fax new versions of the script to the studio, and they would be completely scrapped, never to be used again.
Jesus.
Cast and crew often filmed a scene and then learned the next day that it had already been cut.
That's insane. That's such a huge waste, like, of money, of time, of people's talent. That's nuts.
Yes.
That's 100% the studio. That's crazy.
100%. Ridley Scott was offered the chance to direct this, to basically come back after James Cameron, because James Cameron, by this point, way too busy to direct this.
Of course.
But Ridley Scott turned it down. However, Ridley did express that his concept, he thought the 3rd film should explore the origin of the Xenomorph series, and the stories that he had kind of in his notes for that would eventually become Prometheus and Covenant, the other 2 prequels.
I mean, that makes sense because that's what they explore right in those, right? Because those are prequels, right?
Those are prequels.
Yeah.
So 1 through 4 are sequels, and then Prometheus and Covenant are prequels, and then Romulus exists between 1 and 2.
Okay.
So like, it's kind of, a little convoluted, but essentially Ridley Scott felt like the subsequent sequels were too repetitive. It was basically the same thing over and over again, which is true. And you could absolutely argue that in some ways Romulus is, although I think where Romulus succeeds is it also gives us more into the world of Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah. I liked Romulus a lot.
I like Romulus a lot. I think it makes Romulus more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
But that's why he goes into Prometheus and Covenant, which are heavily more into Weyland-Yutani's like R&D department of trying to figure out how to get the xenomorph, seeing what it can do, trying to acquire it as a bioweapon, how they learned about it before sending Ripley and her crew eventually out. Now, part of the problem with the prequels is that they are made so many years later, so they have kind of a flashy, fancy tech vibe look to them.
Yeah, which when you're doing prequels and it looks like it's more future tech than the first movie, it causes some issues, which I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, again, is why I think Romulus did such a good job. But that kind of future tech, and they also incorporate some of that Cold War battle to try and find the ultimate superweapon.
Okay.
That forms more of the basis for Alien Earth. It's part of why I have watched some of Alien Earth. I haven't finished it. I don't love it. I don't hate it.
I have friends that are watching it and they say it's great. I haven't seen it, although they did ask. They're like, did you like Romulus? And I was like, yeah, I love Romulus. They're like, you probably should watch it then, because it's like along those lines. It's like that vibe. So
it's not. That's part of my problem.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it. Not everything can be Andor. Like sometimes you get a Boba Fett.
True. Anyway, Michael Biehn, a.k.a. Corporal Hicks, a.k.a. Kyle Reese, stated in an interview that he was deeply hurt that he wasn't asked to return as Hicks, but even more so that they just killed Hicks off for no reason. He has basically said that he didn't mind Hicks dying, but the fact that it was careless and he didn't die trying to protect them or whatever really felt kind of like you weren't giving justice to what the character had done in the movie before, which I kind of agree. It's almost one of those things where it's like, kill him at the end of the last movie, where it's like he dies protecting them or something like that. It's like
in a heroic gesture of sacrifice. Yes.
In a heroic gesture of sacrifice. And instead you save him from that heroic gesture of sacrifice to just kill him in a crash. But because of that, because he was so upset about it, and this is what makes him a Stone Cold G, he refused to let the studio use his likeness.
I love it.
So that's why the corpse is beheaded.
I love it. That's amazing.
He does allow them to use one use of his photograph to basically where it comes up or whatever. Carrie Henn, who plays Newt, was like, life goes on.
Yeah.
Whatever. And honestly, by the time this movie was made, she was too old. So she couldn't have played the part.
Yeah, it makes sense.
They would have had to recast anyway. David Fincher thought it looked cool with everyone being bald. And at that point, asked Sigourney Weaver if she'd be okay going bald. And she was like, yeah, it's fine as long as I get more money.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
That's what I'd say.
That's what I'd say too. A lot of the other actors were reluctant to go bald, and they eventually unanimously agreed after hearing Sigourney Weaver was going to do it. But they said that it was really fun offset. They had kind of nicknamed themselves skinheads in space because whenever they left the set to go anywhere, people were terrified of them because they were like, what's going on here?
What have you done? Yeah.
What have you done? Yes. In the assembly cut and other cuts, there's a lot more of the autopsy scene, but the original cut contains so much gore that it made crew members sick to their stomach. And it was,
oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know. So again, multiple drafts. In one draft of the shooting script, Michael Biehn would have been in the movie. I think his refusal made this impossible, and it's why we don't get this in the film.
Right.
But it basically included a chest burster coming out of him during hypersleep, and that starts the electrical fire and initiates the ejection procedure. This was abandoned in favor of having it crash and sink, where the water pressure eventually crushes it, and the floods and airbags deploy that bring it back to the surface. In the final version, the beam breaks and impales him upon impacting the ocean. So a replica of his chest with it torn open due to the impalement was created for the purpose. And he found out about this by accident when one of the producers of his movie Time Bomb, they were making it the same year, told him she had seen his replica when visiting Pinewood Studios and basically erroneously thought that the wound was from a chest buster.
Yeah.
Like, because of the way she described it, which, by the way, I think it fucking was. And they ended, because in the final cut, it's covered with bandages.
Yeah.
So, like, you can tell that didn't happen, right? Like, but he was also bandaged in the last one. So, like, who knows? But angry that he thought that they had given him a chest burster, like, and that that's how they were killing the character, he threatened to sue the producers. For using his likeness without his consent. So then even when David Fincher contacted him to try and ask him for permission, him still aware of the misunderstanding was like, no, I don't want my character to go out like that. So a non-identifiable replica was used. He's literally like, you can't even use my chest.
That's amazing.
Which I think is hilarious. Like, so funny. They did eventually later contact him to use his picture at the beginning of the film for the computer sequence. And apparently he received more money for the use of that one image than for his entire role in Aliens.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which, like...
Yeah, well done.
Good for you, man. Good for you. He has later said that if he had had any idea of the kind of career David Fincher would go on to have, he might have been nicer about it. But honestly, I kind of think you're in the right on this one. Like, this was clearly a doomed production from the start. And like, what are you going to fucking do about it?
Yeah.
I'll end on this one because you could talk about what went wrong on this movie for days. And we've already been talking about this for like 2 hours. So Lance Henriksen only agreed to reprise his role as Bishop as a personal favor to the producer, Walter Hill. And to this day, Lance Henriksen has said that he dislikes this film for its nihilistic themes, although he, quote, had a lot of fun making it. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for Alien Cubed in 1992?
So I'm going to say this comes out closer to $50 million.
It was $55 million.
Boom!
Yeah, and if you adjust that for inflation, Paige, that's like $127 million, which is crazy.
Which, for something of this scale, is actually not a crazy amount.
But for what we get on the screen, it kind of is, because it's very single location. And like, and I realized they had to move that location from London and Pinewood Studios to LA, which is crazy. But that's one of the reasons it's so expensive. The $6 million that they didn't use for sets that they built, like, that's crazy, whatever. But yeah, that's why it's so expensive. Now, it did come out the weekend of May 22nd, 1992, and it was number 2 in the theaters that weekend. It was beat by Lethal Weapon 3, and then, of course, Alien 3 was number 2. Number 3 was a movie we've done on Romancing the Pod, Far and Away. Number 4 was Encino Man, and number 5 was... Did we do Basic Instinct on Romancing the Pod? Because that's what was number 5.
No, it's the one we haven't done yet.
All right.
We saved it for the next time we do erotic thriller month.
It's an upcoming Romancing the Pod episode. Basic Instinct was number 5 that month. But what do you think Alien 3 made in its opening weekend?
Just a note on that budget. Even though this turned out bad, that would be a normal action movie budget today.
Sure.
It's just back in the day, they did not spend that kind of money on movies. And so like, that's part of why all this fighting happens. But I think this made about $16 million.
It made $19 million in its opening weekend. That's a very good guess. Yeah. Now, it was in theaters for a total of 11 weeks. It was in the top 5 in its second week. It was third. And then it fell to 6th, and then 7th and 8th, and then 10th in its 6th week. So it was in the top 10 for its first 6 weeks, and then fell out of the top 10 and was quickly out of theaters after its 11th week. But what do you think it made in its full domestic box office run?
I think this makes about $62 million.
You're close.
So I think it 1X's but doesn't 2X its budget.
It doesn't even quite 1X it. It got $54.9 million domestically.
Oh, no.
So close. Now, Paige, this movie did make money internationally. It made $103.5 million internationally. So the movie did eventually 3X. It got to $158.5 million, but it needed that help from the international market, which is not a problem. That money spends the same. So, like, they still made money. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is your box office page. Do you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Sure. Our scary scale is a scale of how scary we found the movie while watching it today. From 1, which is Ghostbusters, to 10 being Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'm going to give it a 2. There was that one scene where I knew it was going to jump out and scare me, and it did jump out and scare me. Actually, that happened twice. When the guy with the dog was attacked, and then with the guy with the do not jostle flare in his mouth or whatever. Those both got me. But after that, it was not that scary.
It's a 1 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your scary scale.
Well, Paige, this week the listeners made us watch Alien 3 as a part of the listener request. So thank you guys so much for putting us through that. Next week, it is
Halloween.
Yeah, it's Halloween. It's our Halloween tradition, which is why we did listener request a little early. So we are going to do the next film in the Halloween franchise, which
I've already seen if you've listened to last year's Halloween movie. But I will be watching it again.
But do you want to tell them what movie that is?
It's Halloween 6, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it is. So Halloween 6 is your homework for next week. And so make sure you report back for that episode. It's The Curse of Michael Myers.
Hey, do you have any reviews for us, Todd?
I do. I'm going to read one of our Apple 5-star reviews because we've gotten some and I forget to read them. But this one's from someone named Barrett50, and they say, top notch. 5 stars, obviously. Super fun podcast. It's like Dead Meat, but if the host enjoyed the movies.
I do sometimes.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Teen Witch.
Yeah. Well, that was, wait, what? Was that a horror version or was that Romancing the Pod?
No. It was Romancing the Pod.
And then we did Crimson Peak on Romancing the Pod. I'm all over the place this October. But Barrett, thank you so much for that 5-star review. And if you want to have me read your 5-star Apple review, leave us a 5-star Apple review and I'll do just that. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear Paige and I talk about romantic comedies or just regular romantic movies, check out our other podcast. Some might call it a sister podcast called Romancing the Pod, where we do just that weekly. It's a lot like this show, but for romance and romantic comedies, because Paige doesn't like them. So we make her watch them, just like you guys make me watch horror over here. But if you want to follow me, I am at Todd J. Awesome on all the social media. Paige is at Rampage Wesley on Instagram?
Yes, and TikTok.
And just Paige Wesley on Twitter, because you got that before some CEO lady and she wanted it, but you wouldn't give it back. And I respect you for that.
Refuse.
Also, Paige
Suck it, other Paige Wesley.
Paige is also on another podcast. It's great. You should check it out. It's called Cult Podcast with Armando Torres, who is a wonderful person. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff. And if you want to support this show, go to Patreon at patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where there are a lot of great levels and a lot of great things. We do the Patreon shout outs at the beginning of every episode. We do listener requests, stuff like that, bonus episodes. So you'll be getting all of that content, plus episodes a day early with no ads, and who doesn't love that? So sign up for the Patreon and get a lot of great stuff.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Yeah, have an amazing week, guys. I hope I don't get yeeted into the sun, nerds!